Alright guys, we're going to be getting into the match really soon. It is going to be Cold But Kind versus Robot Pally. It's L30, the bird getting in some words again for the second day of Showmatches. And I'm going to be here with the only Blitzbot V2. How are you doing today? As we see into the first match, looks like it's going to be Druid versus Shaman.
Hello, Bird. I'm doing pretty great. How about you?
I'm doing okay. The game's going in a little fast pace. We did just miss Mulligan, sorry about that. But yeah, how are things? How's ESL? Like everybody's been talking about that today. Whereas we do see Ramp Druid versus maybe Standard Shaman.
Standard mech shaman. It's more aggressive than the older mid-range shaman that we saw before GVG. Namely, you try to get out your Whirling Zap-O-Matic turn 2, and then you Rock Biter and Flame Tongue it for lethal in a couple turns.
Which looks like he has everything about set up for that. It looks like Cold by Kind is thinking about trying to swipe out those Whirling Zap-O-Matic. Would that be the play you would want to get, or something else?
Right now, since Robot Polly's hand is mostly empty, I'd like to see the swipe on the Whirling Zap-O-Matic, since it just represents so much damage. And as the number of cards in the mech player's hand dwindles, the value of the Mech Warper also decreases. Because, you know, if you don't have any cards to play, what's the use of having them be for less mana?
Yeah, exactly, and unfortunately for the aggro player hand, he's going to be able to lose out that Whirling Zip-O-Matic, like he said. And we're going to see a Druid the Claw come out from Cold But Kind. Am I having this correctly? The Druid player is Cold But Kind, Robot Pally?
Yes.
Okay, so just want to make sure. We do see a Rock Biter weapon going to be shot up again. And we're going to see the trade out possibly for this one.
Yep. Equipping it onto the Shredder because you can still get the... Ooh, that's a rather unfortunate 2-drop from the Shredder. I think one of the third worst ones you could get. Only one being worse is a Novice Engineer.
I mean, Doomsayer would have been pretty bad. Black Knight going to be the response for CBK. We're able to take out the Anoyatron with the Divine Shield.
I've been seeing some mech shamans run the Arcane Nullifier because with the Power Mace out, you buff it up, turns into a 4/7 taunt that can't be targeted by hero spells or even just regular spells, and it's just a real pain to deal with. And you have your healing totem out there too, so if they can't deal with it, then it's just really difficult for your opponent to come back.
So we do see the second Rock Biter weapon be used to clear up board. It's really good to see the board potential or the board control coming out from Robot Pally. You think it's just going to be this amount of damage though, and as we do see Force of Nature possibly being used from CBK.
I don't really agree with the Force of Nature player. I think he should try to fish out something with the Azure Drake. Probably hope for a Keeper. Because then he can innervate that out and snipe the Mech Warper with it, and also develop the board.
Do you see that because there's not that much damage kind of being represented, right?
Yeah. I mean, unless Robot Pally is running a Bloodlust in stack, which I don't think many people are.
Did he just pass the turn?
Yeah, he just passed turn without doing anything. That's probably a misplay.
Probably an accidentally little end turn right there. He probably could have played Azure Drake like you said, or maybe Force of Nature. But now he is under the influence of Lothab. Gonna play the Azure Drake now, and this does not look too great for Cold By Kind.
And if we the card that he picked up this turn, Wrath, would have been the card that he would have picked up with Azure Drake last turn, so he would have been able to snipe off the Mech Warper with it. With the spell power, and then draw up the Force of Nature. If he went with that.
Yeah. It's unfortunate because as it looks like it is going to be illegal. Lava Burst going to go down, and Crackle going to finish off Cold But Kind. And this little misfortune of a misstep, that end turn, doesn't cost out the game.
Although, depending on what the Crackle would roll, it probably wouldn't. 2 damage from the Mech Warper probably wouldn't matter.
Yeah, I kind of agree. And we do see Kolbekan go down 1. See about the next match. Going pretty fast. Good game so far. Very awesome players. Yesterday, I know you weren't privy to the matches, but Kolbekan was supposed to play yesterday, and he was going to do some awesome stuff to our friend that was only playing Hunter, I believe. But yesterday, we had somebody play pretty much... Do you know Fresca? I'm pretty sure you do, right?
Yeah, Fresca, yeah.
Yeah, they were playing Mill Druid and the rogue version of Druid, or Mill, too. So it was very interesting, contrasting styles, although it was pretty BM and pretty fun. Today we're seeing more mechanically safer decks, I would believe, as we go into game number 2.
I would have kept the Lotheb versus Rogue because it's just such a powerful card to deny Rogue plays, since it's, you know, mostly spell-based deck. And Lotheb can just screw over Rogue really badly.
I do agree.
But I think he opted for a more aggressive hand with, you know, digging for Mech Warpers and Clockwork Gnomes and Whirling Zapomatics.
As he does play the Noitron instead, would you have tried to force the, I guess, the Mech Warper just so you can get value on your next turn, or was this the safer play?
Well, if Kolbekind had a backstab in his hand, it would have been really bad for Robot Pally, because he would have been able to get rid of the Mech Warper for free, and Robot Pally would have to start from an empty board again, while the Rogue would still at least have their weapon and, you know, be able to basically, you know, just build up their mana pool until they get a large enough mana pool to one-shot you with the oil combo.
This guy's toast.
Definitely, as we do see the SI agent going to be coined out this time. Again, public enemy number 1, give me the Whirling Zip-O-Matic, and we're going to go take him down. We'll see how Robopali wants to start up the next turn. Actually, still just going to go for the Power Mates and trade in.
Although, I see that he has 2 Lightning Storms in his hand, probably for the a mirror matchup or against another aggro deck, because it's really good at taking out, you know, almost 2 health and 1 health minions. And also, if you're lucky, stuff like Mech Warpers and Harvest Golems and things of that order.
As we do see a Prep and Sap being played, my client just bugged.
It's a Prep and Sap with the Violet Teacher out, so he gets to develop 2 extra 1/1s. Here, the Lightning Storm could be really handy. I'd like to see him use that right now.
As he is gonna go develop that Noitron, no problem, and like you said, Lightning Storm gonna be popped out. I was gonna say, double Lightning Storm seems to be more of a, I guess, meta pick at the moment, just because there's so many hunters back on the ladder.
Yeah, Ben, you know.
So go ahead.
Yeah, hunters and mech mages and other mech shamans.
Yeah.
It's just Lightning Storm, just a really good card just for stabilizing.
And you can't spell AoE without area effect, so very, very awesome stuff coming out from just the classic basic shaman cards. We do see a Earthen Ring Farseer and a Dagger up. So Kolbekind now going to be kind of in the back pedal. What do you think he needs to draw into to try to stabilize from here?
I think he needs a Blade Flurry. He needs a Blade Flurry and some sort of spell to power up his weapon so he could just clear up the entire board.
So Deadly Poison, Blade Flurry would be like the king. Did use a preparation early, so that's one resource going to be down. SI agent going to be targeting on the Mech Warper. Okay. And if it's a Mech Warper, then he's going to probably trade it into the Mech Warper as well.
Yep.
That's just unfortunate. And yeah. Did he decide yet? My client, I just want to make sure.
No, he's debating between the Mech Warper and the Air Totem. He's probably wary because of the potential for burst damage with the crackles and lava burst. So he might be scared, you know, double rock biter and a crackle for 7 is a really, really large amount of burst.
He did figure that out from the last game, so not surprising to see Robot Pally kind of sway away from himself to try to go for that again. Time Rewinder possible for the Tinkertown, but not going to go for that. Trade into the SI agent coming up from Robot Pally, and
he could time rewinder the spider tank in order to save it from any potential AoE, and then play one of the other spider tanks in his hand.
That's true, but he chooses not to do anything with the time rewind. Sprint could be a possibility, Azure Drake could be a possibility as well. He's at 19 health, cold but kind, so it's kind of dangerous to play the game of try to draw more cards to get a answer. But he's going to sprint instead just because he needs that Blazer, like you said. Picks up the Deadly Poison, ooh, and a Tinker's Sharp Sword Oil. So he's ready for the next turn. We'll see if he survives the next turn then.
Oh yeah. Ooh, there's that crackle. However, he is still far off from being killed off by Robot Pally.
So in this turn for Robot Pally, I mean, he's going to probably go almost all in. Do you think he's going to actually play the Time Rewinder this time? Or, I mean, if he's trading, he's probably going to try to save out Tinkertown.
Oh yeah, he should at least time rewind to Tinkertown. He can try his luck at getting, for example, a +1 attack or +1 health spare parts, but fortunately he gets another time rewinder.
Well, Time Rewinder again, that's not too bad for him, but his card hand quality is not the greatest at the moment. Spider Tank, Crackle, and Time Rewinder is not going to equal too much. Deadly Poison going to be on board. Does he actually trade in? I think he's just going to use a Bludgeoning Foulness and Blazer, is that correct?
Oh yeah. He'd probably go face first, because with the spell power it gets +1 damage on the Blade Flurry, so as not to waste a weapon charge.
There you go. He's gonna be able to clear out the board. Now has a demonstrative board lead. Spider Tank gonna go down, but it's cold but kind. I think just equalize this game.
Yeah, I don't really see how Robot Pally can come back from this point unless he runs a Doom Hammer and manages to pick up Rock Biter ×2.
Yeah, I could see that. He didn't play any of the Rock Biter weapons this time. He had the chance to do that, so he could come back from this one. With Lothab going down, though, we're going to see him stall a little bit for the turn. Maybe Hero Power Lightning Storm is the play, but even then, it wouldn't be able to clear up the 5/5.
Yeah. This is why I don't really like running double Lightning Storms, because oftentimes in the late game, as Shaman, one of your biggest problems is just lack of card draw, and if your spells can't really deal with your opponent's big minions. Like, for example, say he had a Neptulon instead of that second Lightning Storm. He'd be able to, carry on into the late game, which is one of the things that I criticized of one of the most common of the Mech Shaman lists, is that they have no late game.
Right.
Like, with Mech Mage, you have the Antonidas, and, some people like Forsen are even running Gazlo in addition to Antonidas just for the late game. But Mech Shaman, you don't really have access to those legendaries outside of Gazlo, which is why I'd like to see something like Neptulon or Dr. Boom, perhaps.
Well, with that, it's going to be sealing deal off on a pretty interesting lethal Eviscerate on top of the Tinker Sword Oil. Going to even up the score 1-1, and now we're in the final match. It's going to be a rogue coming up from Cold But Kind, the Oil Rogue, obviously. What is Robot Pally going to be bringing out for this one? It's a blind pick, so anything can go. Could play Hunter for all that matters. I've heard about people playing Rogue, obviously. That's the new kind of flavor of the month at the moment. and Hunter has come back now. Would that be a choice to kind of counter this?
Well, Oil Rogue's hardest counter is Control Warrior and Ramp Druid, because Ramp Druid, you have all those taunts, and Oil Rogue only has 2 saps to deal with them, and they can't really take them out otherwise, because then they're expending the burst damage to your face. And Control Warrior, you know, you just have all that armor and whatnot, so even if, you know, they get the damage, that doesn't mean they can burst you down from 30 armor and 30 life. Especially if you can stabilize early on.
Yeah, with Warrior, you definitely have, well, tons of time with all the armor that you need. And then, like you said, for Druid, there's just ways to just get killed by them. Although some Oil Rogues have been running heal and such to try to get out of a lethal range per se from the combo, it's still very dangerous, like you said. Well, we see over here Paladin versus Oil Rogue. Yeah, pretty standard Paladin list I see. Muster for battle, Knife Juggler. Could be a cool turn 4 play. Would not be surprised if that's actually the case to try to take care of the Shade.
Yeah, like the Shade, I've seen a lot of Oil Rogues running Shade because it's just a sticky minion and difficult for most classes to deal with early because it has stealth. So they just keep it there until they have enough mana to basically kill you in 1 turn with the Oil Blade Flurry combo.
Fan of Knives off the top there from Colbacine clears that play. I feel like the top decks just went back and forth. Quartermaster just got top deck from Robopally, so Robopally wanted to probably do a coin and the Quartermaster play off of that one. Unfortunately, that was denied pretty fast from Colbacine.
Yeah, this is why I think Paladin's power level has gone down because of the rise of Oil Rogue, because with the Oil Rogue, you have 2 Fan of Knives, 2 Blade Flurries, you have just so much AoE to deal with, you know, all the 1/1s. So the Paladin is just a very weak matchup to the Oil Rogue.
As we see the development coming out from the Shade and Knights around us, thinking about actually attacking it in with it. Goes in for the fight and does get the attack in for Robopally. So Robopally, he's in a sticky predicament. A lot of high casting cards on in his hand. He has a Knife Juggler and he could pair it with the Scarlet Purifier, technically, if he wanted to. But Outer Peacekeeper definitely going to be into play. He's thinking about the Knife Juggler as well, but we'll see if that will actually happen. Colbacine seems to have a pretty good lead at the moment. He does a Tinker Sharp Sword Oil as well, so he has lethal kind of threatening pretty soon as well.
Especially if he draws his second prep, we can possibly see a definite possibility for lethal coming out.
In this turn, would you think about prepping on the sprint and pairing it up with something else, or would you put down Violet Teacher and probably just clearing out the board?
I'd probably just place Violet Teacher and clear out the board. Since Paladin has no real burst and you're controlling the board, Colbacine is in really no rush to kill his opponent. He has the sprint, he has the oil, he has the prep. All he needs is a Blade Flurry.
And with the Blade Flurry, he'll be able to clear. On the other hand, we did need a Quality Consecrate probably to clear out the board. We're going to see Guardian Kings coming out. It's going to slowly try to regain some health and board semblance for Robopally. While on the other hand, Lothep going to be drawing out for Colbacine. Sep going to be used from CBK. And we're going to see some aggression yet again just going into the face. So, Colbacine has a definite board advantage now, and I don't see a clear way for Robopally to try to get out of this one. Sludge Buster's going to slow it down, but we'll see.
He needs to drop that the Quality and Consecrate soon. Otherwise, he's in a load of hurt from the minions on Cold But Kind's side of the battlefield, and there's that Blade Flurry I've been talking about.
Which is unfortunate because that's probably gonna seal the deal. Blade Flurry, Tank Soil Oil could be a big brutal beatdown for Robert Pally, but the Tank Sword Oil will actually maybe go on to another minion, maybe from the 1/1 that's spelled from the Violet Teacher, so he has to be wary, I guess, but would you go for all in for this one?
Yeah, well, first I'd like to... Yeah, I'd try to go for the lethal. I'd dagger up, and then try to prep the Tinker Oil. Unless he's thinking about prepping out the Sprint, or he's actually
I am ready to learn.
prepping out the Eviscerate. Interesting.
I am ready to learn.
My guess is he's gonna play the SI instead. He just wants to load up his board, I assume. I guess he's thinking that since he hasn't faced the Equality and Consecrate yet, that the opponent probably doesn't have any part of the combo. So he's just gonna basically lay down an even harder to deal with board.
Well played.
Well played.
Well, it's seeming like the time for going into this is going to be ending soon, as we do see some trade-off on the Violet Teacher minions, but there's a Tyrion on there, but I don't know if that's down.
I don't think the Tyrion will. We see the concede, but the Tyrion would not have helped in any way.
Oh man, Robot Pally gonna go down. Congrats to Cold But Kind, picking up the 2-1 victory off on the first match of this show match. I'm gonna check the stream right quickly. They're saying it's muted, but for me, sounds working. I'll check on with you guys in just a second. But yeah, this has been Hearthstone's High School Star League's second season of Hearthstone in Spring 2015. If you do want to check out the site, do check it out on hsstarleague.com. We're going to be getting into the second match in just a few minutes, about maybe 5 to 6 minutes. We'll see where our competitors are. But until then, we'll be right back from this one.